Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really interesting, a source that looks at a totally new, drug-free way to manage ADHD symptoms.
So, what if you could manage focus just by, wearing a patch? It sounds kind of like science fiction, right? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring today based on an article from Fuerza Vital y Fortaleza Física. Let's get into what it claims and how it supposedly works.
Okay, so first up, before we can even talk about a solution, we've got to really understand the challenge itself, at least how our source material lays it out.
So the source is really clear on this. ADHD isn't just a behavior thing. It's a neurological condition right at the core. It impacts your ability to concentrate, control impulses, and just regulate your energy. And it shows up in a few different ways, mainly inattentive, mainly hyperactive-impulsive, or, a mix of both.
And look, the knock-on effects can be huge. The article really points out that when these symptoms aren't managed, they can ripple out and touch pretty much every part of your life. We're talking school, work, your emotions, your relationships, the whole shebang. All right, so that's the problem. So what's the proposed solution from this source? Well, it's all about a new tech-based approach. Okay, so the big idea here is something called Vibrotactile technology. Now, what does that even mean? Well, these patches aren't pumping you full of drugs or chemicals. Instead, think of it like a special pattern, almost like a QR code that your skin can read. It sends these very specific signals through your skin to your nervous system, all with the goal of helping your brain get back on track. And what's interesting is the source doesn't just suggest one single patch to fix everything. Nope. It's actually a two-part toolkit, with each patch designed for a very specific job. And here's how that two-part strategy breaks down. You've got two different tools for two very different problems. On one side, you have the focus patch, which, as the name suggests, is all about sharpening your attention and giving you mental clarity. Then on the other side, there's the peace patch. Its job is to tackle that restlessness and impulsivity by helping you find a sense of calm. So you might be wondering, how would I actually use this stuff? Well, according to the article, it's designed to be super simple and just slot right into your daily life. The routine they recommend is pretty straightforward. You pop on the focus patch in the morning, right, to help you stay concentrated all day. Then you keep the peace patch handy for those moments when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed and just need a little more patience. But the big takeaway from the source? You gotta be consistent. That's the key. Okay, so let's zoom out. What are the big benefits being claimed here? And maybe even more important, what's the fine print? What context does the source give us? Well, the source basically wraps it all up by saying the potential benefits could mean a really significant improvement in day-to-day life for people dealing with ADHD symptoms. We're not just talking about a little more focus. We're talking better impulse control, less physical hyperactivity, better handling of your emotions, and maybe even getting a more restful night's sleep. Okay, but this next part is absolutely crucial. After laying out all these potential wins, the source itself includes a very clear disclaimer. It says, hey, this article is for information only. It is not a replacement for professional medical advice. And it says the super patches are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure ADHD. That context is everything. So all of that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, right? If you set aside this one specific product for a second, the very idea of these drug-free wearable technologies raises a huge question about the future. What role are these kinds of tools going to play in how we all manage our own mental and emotional well-being? And that's our deep dive into the tech. Now, if you're interested in checking out the product that was detailed in our source material, the publisher provided a link where you can get a 25% discount on your very first purchase. To do that, just head over to the website you see on your screen, stamina.superpatch.com. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.